Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Los Santos. I'm James Knight. Thanks for watching Weazel News. In this episode, we have a couple special interviews. One with the former governor of San Andreas, Mr. Chad Carrington, and also a chat with the new governor, Peter Phillips. But first, governmental housing in crisis as DownBad apartments caught fire recently. We had a team on scene to capture all the details.
I saw the news, and the news said that the DownBad apartments was on fire, unfortunately. So I was like, "Oh no, my apartment!" So we came by to look at, the disaster that happened over here, and it's very horrible. And unfortunately, today I lost my apartment, and I'm homeless. So I really don't know, man. I don't know how to feel. I'm very very upset.
I sat down with the former governor of San Andreas, Chad Carrington, to ask him a couple questions about his term as governor. I'm sitting here with former governor of San Andreas, Chad Carrington. How you doing, Chad?
Oh, I'm doing good. Thank you for having me today.
No, thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to interview someone who had such a great term as governor. So, how did you feel about your term as governor?
Overall, I think we did a lot of good. I think my term went, pretty smoothly with the things that we passed. A lot of people disagreed with some of the things that we passed, but overall, I think it was for the betterment of the citizens and the state itself.
And was there anything that you wanted to accomplish that you just couldn't get to?
The biggest thing is infrastructure. I worked closely with Daryl Bobby, the commissioner. We wanted to get some more businesses and some more housing up in Sandy, up in Polito, to try to build relations with the communities out there. It was a little harder than we expected. A lot of plotting and licensing and bureaucracy and paperwork that you have to go through. We got some stuff and some construction started up there, but not as much as we wanted to.
You didn't run for another term. Is there any possibility that these things you wanted to achieve will motivate you to run in the future?
It's a possibility. Being governor was the highlight of my time here in the state. It was a great honor to be governor. There was just a lot of headaches and politics and a whole slew of other issues that I would never wish on someone. It is a lot of work. So, if things don't get accomplished and I'm not happy with this term, then I might throw my hat in next term and see if I can learn from my mistakes and try to help people more.
Yes, yes. Speaking of those issues, let's talk about those a little bit. While you had a successful career as governor, there were a lot of interesting reports that came out about your conduct in private scenes, people saying you like to party a little too hard. Of course, you help run a fraternity at the local college. How would you like to address these concerns that people had about your private life?
In my opinion, my private life is not much of a concern to the people. From the get-go, I always campaigned as me. I never lied or hid who I was. A lot of people knew that, I was a fraternity president. I partied, I drank. So, I never tried to hide that or lie to people. When people voted me in, they knew exactly what they were getting with me.
And on that note, people knew what they were getting when they voted for you. Do you think that the citizens of San Andreas were looking for a bit of a carefree representative in their government?
I think to a degree, yes. Obviously the governor being the highest position in power, people want to see real change, but at the same time, people want someone relatable. They don't want just some businessman or some politician that can't relate. Me, I used to be a criminal. I have a background that I went through an expungement. I worked numerous jobs at businesses, so I can relate with the people. I know the struggles of being a criminal. I know the struggles of trying to up and come in the state. So even though I was kind of an unorthodox person to be in that position, but at the same time, I was able to relate to many different people in the state.
Definitely an inspirational story for any criminal out there who wishes to turn their life around. So you followed up Governor McPikey and his questionable reign as governor. A lot of people seem to have issue with him, and anytime I've ever seen him at a public gathering, he seems to be the victim of some kind of violent act. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about trying to follow up a government that was less than popular?
Following up the McPikey administration, it was definitely, a bit scary seeing the things that happened to him. But at the end of the day, he was a police officer, and police officers do get somewhat of a bad rap from the criminal underworld. So following into that administration, I knew, I still had my connections. I was still good friends with a lot of criminals, even though I was a legal man myself. So I knew it was a little bit easier because I had somewhat of that friendship and relationship with people. So the beginning of my term went kind of smoothly. There wasn't many attempts on my life. There wasn't many riots or anything like that until the gun outlaw.
So let's talk about that. The protests that happened a few months back. Some would blame you for, inciting those, due to the laws that you want to propose and whatnot. And a lot of damage happened to the city and the state, especially with the National Guard being called in. So, how would you like to address that? Like, how would you like to explain that to the citizens of San Andreas?
Oh, absolutely. So the biggest thing, many people don't understand the inner workings of the government. I might be the governor at the top, but there's always someone higher, and there's always things that even as governor I can't control. So the riots and protests started because the locally owned businesses that buy, hunting goods, fishing goods, the local trucking companies, they all decided that they didn't feel comfortable with felons working their jobs, and they started paying felons less. Completely out of my hands. We don't force businesses to pay employees a certain amount. We don't step in when it comes to the economy with businesses. So that was completely out of my hand. That was the local unions kind of coming together and paying people less. So that is where the first protest started. As for calling in the National Guard, that was meant to be a safety precaution. We got word that people were planning a riot at City Hall, so we called the National Guard in only as a peacekeeping force. They were meant to come in and show force. I think both sides, both my National Guard and just the people, made wrong decisions, with having guns and Molotovs in the crowd. Once that happened, the National Guard kind of took over, and that was when they decided to unleash hell with their A-10s and their tanks.
Well, that's very informative, Chad. We do appreciate your insight into the inner workings of the government. Before we let you go, is there anything you would like to say to the new governor, Governor Phillips?
Absolutely. If he's watching and he's here, I just want to say learn from my mistakes. Politics and being governor is a very, very thin line and a balance. So, you want to keep everyone happy, whether it's police, citizens, criminal. You don't want to lean one side too much and piss everyone off. You want that perfect balance. You want to try to do your best to make everyone happy and hear everyone's side. You can't look at it from a biased perspective, whether you enjoy criminals more, or police more, or citizens. You want to try to keep everyone happy and keep that perfect balance.
All right, excellent. Well, thank you for your time, Chad. We really enjoyed talking to you today, and we hope to see you, back in the political sphere soon, because you did a lot of good as governor.
Absolutely. I appreciate you guys taking the time. Let me talk about, my governor term. I know a lot of people blame me for a lot of stuff that I never got to address. So, it feels good to be heard and get to tell my side of things.
Weazel News is brought to you by the Diamond Casino and Resort. Gamble your life savings away at the Diamond today. And now, with your weather forecast, here's Trixie Coulee.
Hello, sun-soaked beauties. Your resident fashionista weather Barbie here, and we've got the scoop on this week's weather. It's so hot, it's practically sizzling, like Ice Spice at the VMAs. We're talking temperatures in the high 90s, and no, I'm not talking about Wee Jesus 30 years ago. So get those stylish swimsuits and iced cocktails ready. Stay fabulous, stay hydrated, and let's turn this week into Death Valley Fashion Week.
We're here today at the Marietta oil fields, and whilst it sounds like it's bustling with life, there's actually no drilling operations going on, as Governor Phillips recently released a statement that stated that all drilling operations have been outsourced to other countries, which is this in turn increased the taxation on our oil and petrol, which has potentially doubled the price in which citizens will have to pay for a full tank of gas. Governor Phillips released a press statement outside Los Santos City Hall today in which he stated he may have simply just been looking into it.
We're going to start off with, the biggest matter, the gas prices, and why that is, doubled to $10 a liter now. So with the, recent Cayo trips, right, jet fuel in the city is run off oil, that's how we make it. So we had to, our oil reserves ran low, so we had to, get in touch with an oil tycoon out of state, and, import it in. So now we have a ginormous fee with importing, and they're overcharging us a shit ton. We are working on trying to get that price back down as low as possible for you guys. Any questions?
What are we gonna do as workers? Truckers, tow truckers?
Yeah, man. You fucking
Yeah.
dumb vehicles.
Who's gonna compensate us?
I
Don't
know
we have
that.
more reserves? Why aren't we drilling, baby?
We're paying like double.
That is true,
Airports pay
and
more.
I know we
spent
better stop
500 on
fracking.
full gas.
Can I have some food?
Let the man
If
talk.
you're gonna raise
Let
the
the
cost
man
of living,
talk.
raise our stimmy checks.
Fuck the man.
we can definitely look at raising the stimulus checks, right?
I want
We-
800 a check.
a bit out there. We can definitely look at raising it a little bit, but
Bankrupt.
800 would be quite an increase, and with that, we would have to raise taxes quite a bit. With that being
Get some
said,
EMS into this damn city.
get some what?
EMS. There ain't none.
Yeah, there
Uh,
definitely is EMS.
There is EMS, but that's not the focus right now. But yeah, with
Taking
the
our money, I don't care. Pay for it.
Yeah,
With-
tell him.
I
Talk
had
about
to
gas
carry
prices,
3 cops to the hospital myself today, and I'm a tow truck driver. Where the fuck
Yeah,
is
me
EMS?
too.
Hey, bro. I don't want to hear nothing else about no EMS. Gas,
Safety
out of
is always
hand.
taking applications.
Thank you, Burke. Thank you. But yeah, we are working on it, I believe. But in a nutshell, with the high-speed pursuits, oil, goes into gas. So the big thing is prices. So we are working on it. I just want you all to be aware of that. If you have any questions about anything, then say that one more time.
Why don't you make the pursuit cars more fuel efficient?
That is definitely, an option that we can look into, but they are already pretty efficient. If you have any other questions about anything, I'm willing to talk to you, but oil and gas, I'm also here to, but yeah, if you have any questions, just...
When can we expect the price of gas to go back down?
You're telling
You
me
know-
this is fuel efficient?
We're working on, meeting with some oil tycoons, hopefully this weekend, right?
Can we expect a stimmy raise before the prices go down?
I can, we can look at that, but I can't guarantee anything when it comes to the stimulus checks, right? Definitely look into it.
Did you already make your statement? I'm sorry, we just got here.
Yeah, in a nutshell.
late to the party.
Yeah.
I know, sorry.
Yeah, what has been done?
Gas prices did get raised, but when I originally got elected, I said I wanted to, observe the first week. This was, very short notice. It's $10 a liter now.
So nothing.
Opposed to what?
Say what?
5 is double.
5.
Yeah, what was it before, Pete?
It was $5 a liter.
Obadiah here recently spoke with Governor Peter Phillips.
That I did, James. Let's take a look. We're here today with the newly elected Governor Peter Phillips, How's it going today, Peter?
It's going pretty good, Jelly. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So, first things first, how have your first few days as being governor been?
I'm learning the ropes with my first candidacy. It's been pretty chaotic, but that's a good thing in a way.
How have you found attempting to implement the new policies that you promised so far? Have you seen any success in starting them off, or are you still kind of hitting roadblocks?
I'm hitting a lot of roadblocks, but I'm still dedicated to focusing on that. It is my utmost priority to try and get those in place. It is a lengthy process, though, with the fact of how impactful it is in a way. So it's just taking time.
Okay, it's good to hear. Recently, we attended a press conference that you released regarding the increase to gas prices across the state, and we noticed that it didn't have so much of a great turnout. Why do you think that might have been?
So yeah, I am terribly sorry to anybody who did attend that and had to witness the chaos. That is entirely my fault. I was not really prepared to give a press conference. I'll say this again through and through. I am only 19, and that was the first time I've ever really had to do a big public speaking event besides high school like that. So, it's going to be a learning curve.
Yeah, that's understandable. Do you feel your age could potentially have a negative impact on attempting to make changes to the state or how citizens might view you?
It definitely alters people's opinions when they find out I'm 19, but I feel like I still can bring good change to the state of San Andreas. It's just the public speaking was not the best at that point in time, but I definitely can bring change.
That's great to hear. I'm glad to know that you're dedicated to the cause. As you've been in government for a couple of days now, have you decided on any new policies or anything you might want to implement, or any sectors you've noticed need a revamp or refurbishment?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff. I am in talks with people about hunting. I do want to get that altered and more opened up in a way, right? There's been a few people that have opened a hunting group, and I want to help them out a lot. In Paleto Bay and the greater Sandy Shores area also needs, more housing, stuff like that. I want to work with the commissioner, Dale Barbie, in those regards, especially with the Paleto Bay fires towards the beginning of September. I do want to work closely with that stuff.
That's a really great point. What are your thoughts on the Paleto Bay fires? How do you believe the Los Santos Fire Department handled the situation?
So I do love the Los Santos Fire Department. Their response time was pretty good, but obviously bearing in mind that it was Paleto Bay, right? So that's a big factor. Hopefully, if we do increase the LSFD staffing, which is very small at this point in time, especially with the fact they have to be EMS as well, they can't dedicate themselves to putting out fires in the city and the greater country area. So that's a major factor, but they definitely did their best, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, it was good to know that you're on their side as well. And what are your plans to help the people of Paleto Bay in getting repairs for their homes and costs for businesses as well?
So with the Paleto, I do want to work very close with them, and on a individual by individual level. So I can't give you a vague idea, but overall, I want to work close with each and individual people there, helping out the businesses, like the motorcycle club, the Lost mechanic shop out there. I know they're not on Bad Biz. It would be really good if we can get them on there. So that's the thing I'm aiming towards. And Vice, I know, they are on Bad Biz, but helping them out as well. And, just getting some more stuff up there. I know the hunting lodge, like I recently said, they're trying to be an up-and-coming business. So, yeah, I want to help them out, see what I can do on an individual business. case by case.
I'm glad that you're dedicating the time and effort towards helping the citizens of Paleto Bay, both in seeking repairs from the fires as well as uplifting the businesses there. Well, that's it for me in terms of questions, Peter. Is there anything you'd like to say to the citizens of Los Santos and the greater area?
It's a big learning curve, especially for somebody as young as I am, but I'm ready to take on the challenge, and I appreciate everyone who's stood by me. And if people don't agree with my views, I would love to meet with them and understand why not and try and help them. Obviously, I can't help everyone, but I want to help as many people as possible in the state of San Andreas. That's the duty of a governor, and I'm going to aim to accomplish that duty as best as I can. Thank you for having me again.
No problem. I'm glad that despite the roadblocks that you found in your early days, you're continuing to be determined to get what you want to get done. That's been me, your boy Weazel. Back to you guys in the studio.
That's it for another episode. Don't forget to check out all the great new content on the Weazel Network, including episode 2 of Lost in KO now streaming. From all of us here at Weazel News, thanks for watching.